everybody, and welcome to the Download Youth Ministry Podcast. Doug Fields here with Cathy the Queen Edwards, junior high pastor, guru extraordinaire, author, speaker, lover of all things junior high. Totally. And Josh Griffin, the co-host, who is also co-founder of Download Youth Ministry, high school pastor, author, speaker, friend.
Kind of a big deal.
Kind of.
Yeah. And the greatest human alive is the special guest. We couldn't get Jesus, but we got Cathy Fields instead.
Cathy, welcome.
Thanks, you guys.
Great youth worker and amazing human, great mom, terrific spouse.
Humanitarian.
Yes.
Humanitarian.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Conservationalist.
Birthday.
We
also,
do.
which is exciting.
A little different in years,
12th.
but September 12th for everybody who wants to know about Katie and I's birthday.
While you're here, just share your social security number as well. That'd be great.
Gifts always accepted.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it's the new year, 2016. This is episode 283.
Wow.
This
Still
year,
standing.
We have great sponsors. Orange, which we are so excited about. We want to encourage everybody to join us at the Orange Conference at the end of April. You can go to orangeconference.com. We have Azusa Pacific University, YM360, and Leader Treks, which have been our sponsors from day one.
Yeah. How
And
cool
you
is
are
that?
doing that sponsorship thing so well. It's like you really do have your own radio
Do you
show,
see this?
babe.
Do you see this equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see this
Thank you
equipment? This is serious
mic.
stuff. This
You're
is our
good.
this is our second show with good equipment. We've owned the show for we've owned the equipment for about 4 months.
Yeah.
And it's sat in
a cardboard box
sat in
right over
boxes.
there. Yes.
You know the story that I asked Elliot?
Tell me more.
Okay, Elliot, who's our
Who is
nephew.
my nephew?
Yeah, who's your
Sorry,
brother's
mine.
son.
Yeah, my brother's son. Hi, Elliot.
At Thanksgiving, I was talking to him about his podcast,
Yes.
which is called The Hopefuls, and you can listen to his podcast on SoundCloud.com.
Great. I need to do that.
iTunes? No
And,
iTunes?
No, iTunes yet.
No, just SoundCloud.
No,
okay.
I can't afford iTunes.
I get it. It's expensive.
And so I said, hey, I hear you're doing a podcast. We've got great equipment that none of us know how to use. Why don't you produce the
So it was
podcast
literally
for it?
sitting in a box for 4 months until
No.
you talked to Elliot.
We're
It
trading.
was,
We're
yeah.
trading resources. This is what youth workers do.
We're using
Awesome.
his skills for this rich audio that you're experiencing right now.
And Elliot's only lived in California for like 6 months. And so
how we
this
roll.
is like all great timing, you guys.
all great
It's
timing.
like I'm
See
sure
that?
he was
All good
praying
things.
for podcast equipment because the Lord answers his prayers.
You're
He's
done.
somehow
Awesome.
Close to
related,
God right now.
related to you.
Well done.
Elliot, are there any times in your growing up years that you wish you grew up with Cathy as your parent and not Brad as your dad? Did you ever feel like you got ripped off with the wrong Guiso sibling?
I'd have to put up with you two.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, he would have to put up with
You'd have
you
to put up
also.
I
me.
love it. Shots fired.
Elliot's
Yeah.
only 2 shows in. He got his name.
Yeah. He doesn't have a mic, so no one heard what he said, but
Yeah,
wow.
it was good.
Yeah,
But wow.
hurtful. We actually might call Matt Magill on this show.
Okay.
He's out with his child right now, but we have a question that I feel like he needs to weigh in on.
Oh,
but
wow.
we'll see. He's going to text
Pun
me if he's
intended.
available.
So excited.
The first question is from Ronnie Hayes, Owasso, Oklahoma. Owasso, Oklahoma. Doug, Katie, Josh, and Matt.
And Kathy.
And
So it shows how long he's been keeping up on it. And
this one's been in the hopper for a while.
no, it
yeah.
hasn't been in the hopper.
It was in the box with our audio equipment.
It's just wishful thinking.
This question's only about 4 weeks old. Anyway,
Okay.
it says, and you can send your questions to webshow@downloadyouthministry.com. That's webshow at downloadyouthministry.com. The web show that's sponsored by Orange as our primary sponsor. This is so weird, he starts. About 6 years ago, my 10-year run as full-time youth pastor ended. I am a 00 listener and was always so encouraged by your words and laughter. Honestly, I felt like I had been in a healing therapy session by the end of each podcast. See,
Wow. And
Babe,
that was with Matt here?
you think we're just goofing around? We're bringing people
Yeah.
healing,
Soothing.
hope.
Therapy.
Well, our last show, we talked about basically we've saved lives over the years.
Yeah.
Wow.
What doesn't this?
Wow.
We've helped families in NICU units.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We've restored broken homes.
Yeah. And we've won one
Wow.
award several years ago before Katie was
Really
on the
before
show.
Katie, yeah.
Before
Yeah.
When he says we, it's really
Yeah,
more
sorry,
the
Katie.
two of us have
Okay.
won a
Back when we were the only podcast on. For some reason, I thought you guys moved on and were no longer podcasting. Anyway, I just rediscovered the DYM podcast, and I'm so thankful. I'm on podcast 221, so he's 62 podcasts behind.
Matt's probably still
And
there.
listen to about 5 per week. I feel like I'm in a time travel movie because the healing teammates I currently listen to are in reality about 2 years ahead of me. Truth is, you guys are timeless and a valuable part of my life. I promise. Thank you for keeping the podcast/web show going on, even if I was an idiot for not paying attention to the switch. Wow. Since I'm listening in order, I'll be caught up in time in about 2 months. P.S. If Matt is still around, tell him sorry you got canned. PSS, ministering to youth is my life as I am following my dream of building a youth camp. Thanks for your prayers.
wow.
Ronnie Hayes, Camp Courage, USA, Owasso,
incredible.
Oklahoma.
Very
That-
cool.
That was
Isn't
a
that
great
nice?
one.
Yep,
Thank
that's
you
a
for
great
Wow.
email.
Hey, Cathy, you kind of came on and said you wanted to ask a couple questions because you're now you're doing some youth ministry consulting.
I am, and I have
Whoa.
a question.
Elliot, is she talking in the mic okay? Okay.
Okay.
So you can add that to your list of youth ministry consultant.
Yes.
Yeah, I like
to
it.
my bio on my big speaking
Your big the
paragraph.
circuit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, do you
Speaker,
want my
author,
questions now?
Musician.
Bus driver. I think that's one of them back in there.
Chauffeur, yes.
Do you want my questions
Go ahead,
now?
yeah.
Okay, I have 2 questions. I got one for Josh and I got one for Katie. Who wants the first question?
Josh.
I'll go first.
Josh, okay, this is super serious.
Okay.
It's the one I'm more afraid of.
I'm nervous.
Okay.
I don't know what to wear to a Star Wars premiere. They say I have to dress up. I have to.
Oh.
That's what
Okay.
they say. Will they really kick me out, Josh?
They
because
will.
I am not a dressing up kind of girl.
They are
And for those that
serious.
don't know why this is directed at Josh,
People don't know.
They
Unzip
might
your
not.
T-shirt.
How did you know? Wow.
Well,
Well,
you're
you're kind
I'm
of
sure.
always wearing a Star
Yeah,
Wars.
it's pretty safe bet that I'm wearing
Josh
Star
has
Wars.
has started. He's the founder of one of the largest Star Wars websites in the world called theforce.net. He's a Star
go.
Wars groupie geek. the
sure
whole bit.
is.
Yeah.
So I
Got
gotta
to meet
dress
Harrison
up.
Ford a couple weeks ago. It was fun.
You got to meet
did I not
Harrison
tell you that?
Ford.
Oh, we haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
Wait, are you a Star Wars fan or is it just your husband Ron?
My husband, and then you marry into that sort of
Oh, yeah.
thing.
So
Well,
you
Harrison
married into
Ford
the
is more than
Comic-Con
Star Wars,
life.
married
too,
into the
so-
life,
Thing.
and so I'm a fan.
So you could help me. Maybe you have a costume that's tucked away in the back of the closet, Katie.
I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't
Not
think
one
so.
that you could wear in public, dear.
Yeah.
It's a little private thing to have.
Stop.
Stop.
Oh.
Okay, so
So the short answer, there's really 2 options.
Yeah,
One
just-
is the going all in, and then one is the
You don't
doing
need to
enough
do
to
that.
get into the
no, I'm
into
like,
the
who's
event.
got a robe I can
Just
borrow?
enough
Yeah.
to get into the event.
What I would say is, if you wanted to go all in, you'd be a character called Ayla Secura.
Okay.
And her whole body is blue, and she has 2 blue tentacles coming out of her head, and she carries a blue lightsaber, and that would be amazing.
Oh.
And all in, and probably too far.
Is that the same as like the blue girl in X-Men? Like blue body paint blue?
Yeah.
But she's wearing clothes in Star
okay.
Wars, so it's a little.
Oh,
better.
okay, that's
Not much
great.
of a- And then the other one is, or you could just put your hair up in buns like Princess Leia and carry a toy gun, and you'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Everyone
And
would
wear
think it's
white.
Everybody's
so
gonna
fun.
do that. And wear white?
Wear white.
Okay.
It would be the best. Plus, you'd be playing along. It'd be great.
Yeah.
I would do that if I were you.
I feel like I have to do it.
Yes.
Okay, second
Okay.
question.
Okay, are you ready? You want my second question? Okay, this is about youth ministry, people, but the Star Wars thing sort of is youth ministry too.
important. It's important.
Okay, Katie, I am trying to work with a girl who's doing junior high, and she is the person on her team who has been assigned to work with the scholarships. So they've got some families having some needs for scholarships. The goal from her lead from her boss is to meet with everybody who's asking for scholarships and do the interview that way. How do you do scholarships? Do you meet one-on-one with people? the intention is great to find out where these
Sure.
people's needs
so
are and
financial
stuff
aid
like
for
that.
like a camp or something
Exactly,
like that.
for camp. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, totally. I like to talk to families on the phone. Most of the time, I like to connect with people who maybe need assistance because it's an opportunity to pray with them. It's an opportunity to know a little bit deeper of their story. A lot of times they end up sharing.
Yeah.
So I think I don't meet with them personally, I don't feel like we need to do a face-to-face. And even so, I know how hard it is to ask for financial assistance.
Yeah.
And so that there's definitely already an uncomfortable piece of the situation for the people who are in need. And so sometimes I feel like on the phone, you can kind of diffuse that, like, tell me your story and how are you and how can I pray for you? And then kind of maybe get to the financial aid piece of tell me what your needs are and how can we come alongside of you? And even when there's times where I can't meet the full need, it helps me to give, here's some options. Here's what we can do. It just gives me a chance to build a relationship with them and work with them. But unless they come to me face to face at the church service or something, I might meet with them on the spot there.
Yeah.
But I do like to talk to them because I think more than anything, it just gives me layers for their story and how I can, even check in with them. Or sometimes there's some dire needs where kids there's not even finances to buy team color gear or something like that, where you really can know someone's story of, wow, maybe we can come alongside of you in some of these other ways too, or they don't have a Bible or, some of those other things that we require. So
great.
I like the conversation on the phone.
Can I add a follow-up question
Yes,
to that?
please.
What would be the most that you scholarship someone? Would it be the full amount? Would you pay the full ride to camp or whatever? Or what would be like 10%, 50%?
I think it's case by case. I don't think I ever decide that before I go into a conversation. I know what our resesources are, so I know what we have to offer. So I want to be a good steward of our resources for sure. And so that's definitely a starting point. At the same time, there's been times where I've made decisions on faith, with those resources. But then I've seen God provide too. So there's times where I stretch that, but I don't know if I determine right away, no matter what, it's just going to be half off, because for some families that we deal with, that's not even a reasonable thing for them. So what I do love to do is a student who gets financial aid, invite them to serve leading up to the event. So we'll invite those kids to serve and help us get ready for stuff. And usually parents and kids are more than willing to give their time, or to do things in order to come alongside that process.
That's great.
Sometimes money is
awesome.
just the roadblock, but they've got time to give, they can volunteer, they can do things. So I think the kids need to be part of the process with financial aid in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I like the idea of them even you capturing the story, and maybe you have to generalize it or take out some names or the specific family or whatever, but then pass it on to the person or people that gave, if they gave what, and who that is. I think that's a fun way of connecting them. Or even write a thank you card. The student who gets the scholarship writes a note to say, I had the best time at winter camp. Thank you so much. God's blessing on you. We could have never gone. And when the giver receives that is the richest reward of all too. So
For sure.
Yeah, we have scholarships at Download Youth Ministry.
yeah.
And we have a businessman who loves giving. And people who, we can't meet everyone's request.
Yeah.
But we give a significant amount every month through this guy. And we just ask, would you please write a thank you? And the thank yous are amazing.
goodness.
And they're passed on to this business person and his family. And that's his joy. He wants to be anonymous. He loves to give. He loves to help youth workers. But we feel like they can thank him.
Absolutely.
And that's a great thing. I also think there's
and they're
a
probably
percentage.
excited to do so.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would think.
Absolutely.
Without exception.
And there's some. I'm not the guy that likes to give 100% of a scholarship to a teenager for camp or whatever. I think there needs to be some skin in the game.
Yep.
And that's part of the discernment process for this person that you're working with, that help them to discern what the skin in the game is. But I also, my philosophy is let's don't keep money from keeping a kid from having a great experience.
Absolutely.
Right.
Somebody is
Right.
willing in the congregation to help send that kid to camp, or then it's my job to find out who those people are who will
Connect
help
those
out.
dots. Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it.
Well, I love the heart behind it. The lead junior high pastor wants everybody who's applied to have some amount of aid, to be able to get some amount of aid.
Yeah.
And he wants to try and help meet needs beyond just here's $50 to go to camp. Bye-bye,
Yeah.
But the girl who has to do it, she's like, oh my gosh, she's fresh out of
Yes.
college. She's super nervous. She's like,
Yeah.
how am I going to talk to 40-year-olds who are struggling financially?
But you
So
know, one of the
there's
things that you might do is why don't you say, hey, let's make a couple calls together.
Exactly.
And you make the first call
Yeah.
or the second call and kind of coach her on how you would do that and let her listen to a pro and go.
Yeah, that was
It's
my
a
plan.
really interesting thing to be in the mix with people on is money, obviously.
Yeah.
Because there have been people who I've been in conversation with them who are upset that I'm not giving them more, you know, and so there are times in that process where there can be tension points, you know, because people are emotional when, you know, obviously if you can't provide something that your kids want or so, you know, it's an emotional process as a parent. So even helping her understand the parent perspective, how brave you have to be to make this ask, you know, giving her some of the emotions as a parent behind that. Because I think that really helps me. And that's why I start with, tell me your story. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your family. Because that just kind of diffuses some of that. We're only talking about money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's great.
That's
great. Thank you.
All right. This is a question from Amy Norton. Amy says, Doug and Cathy.
What?
I know.
How convenient.
Hey, I listened to your web show about spouses in youth ministry. I'm uncertain about writing this email. I'm writing about my current personal experience and have found that I've used it as an excuse for pity or reasons to question my marriage. I want to preface this question with my husband does what he can to support and respect what I do, and I do my best to not put that much on him being able to help out with the ministry. But where he has found resources about walking through our situation, I have not found such resources. I'm currently the youth pastor at my church in Vancouver, Washington. I've been hired full-time for a year, but I've worked with teens for about 10 years in different settings. I am writing to ask if you have any resources or advice for a person in ministry whose spouse doesn't believe in God. My husband grew up in the church and was a Christian when we married, but over the last several years, he has thought and wrestled with the church and the idea of God. And over that time, he decided God isn't real, basically. This has been a challenge on many levels. Not many people in the church know outside of staff, and he will come to church on Sunday mornings. And he will come to church on Sunday mornings. So there is an assumption that he is. The staff is extremely supportive of me at the church, not to continue on too much, but I am wondering if you know of a resource for myself or him possibly that would help us walk through this process of ministry where there is this difference in thought and belief.
Wow.
That's a big one.
Yeah. Until,
I'm glad it was directed at you guys.
oh my goodness.
I'm out of here.
Well, until she said he doesn't believe anymore, I thought maybe it was titled. Maybe it's supposed to be Doug and Katie, a female youth worker, and they wanted a different perspective. How does my husband
a lot of people,
help
that's
out?
fair, because a lot of people do just want to hear from Katie and I.
Yeah, that's why the only reason I'm even still here. I'm just listening to you guys.
Well, you're eye candy for the video, too.
Exactly. CrossFit.
So, super short answer, no, I don't know of a resource for that situation. I do know that there are resources for Christians who are not married to believers.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that those exist, but I don't know about being in ministry.
Yeah, Lee Strobel's wife, Leslie. Didn't Leslie write a book? I think Leslie Strobel wrote a book.
Did
Is she a Christian?
Like, yeah. Is that
Is she a
pre
Christian?
when Lee was not?
Yes.
Before he,
yeah. So it was something,
Wow.
something to
Christ.
the effect like I married a non-Christian. Or
I think there's a couple, at least, of those kind of books.
Do you think it disqualifies her from ministry?
No.
Her
Oh,
husband
gosh,
not
no.
being. Yeah, because I think that would be one of the questions that I would deep down
Wrestle
go,
with.
am I disqualified because of this?
And maybe starting with the marriage piece, it feels like there's so much to wrestle. So maybe even not thinking about the ministry piece yet, but think about the marriage piece first and being married to someone who's not a believer, and then
So
maybe
true. How
begin
you're
to
going to work that
process-
out. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many big things in that.
Yeah. he's not hiding the fact. I mean, are they hiding the fact that he's not a follower of Jesus? Like, is that?
Well, the
it feels like a
staff
few
knows.
people know, and they're supportive. That's great. I mean,
Yeah. And they're letting it sit, it sounds like, with
yeah,
the people in the church.
Sure.
And that, they assume because he goes to church, he's still
Sure.
a Christ follower. But which I think is totally fine. I don't think you need to make an announcement to your
attention
church or anything.
congregation.
Yeah. This guy doesn't believe anymore. No,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to do that.
Well, I think what we would say the big picture principle is you put your marriage before your ministry. Mm-hmm. So
Always, in any situation.
Yep. And so, put your marriage before Jesus, put your marriage before your ministry. So in that sense, to her, the advice would be put your marriage before your ministry. It doesn't mean you don't work in your ministry, but make sure that you're married to him, not to your ministry. That he knows that he's got your heart, he's got your attention, he's got your time. And I think in a situation like that, you love him back into the arms of Jesus, knowing
Yes.
that the timing of that is not going to be at your timing, but you're doing the possible with faith that God does the impossible. And, at some point
Every
he
day.
had belief, and, my husband grew up in the church and was a Christian when we married. So, the journey continues. He's just probably more vocal about his doubts, where most people hide their doubts.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. But it said he did some seeking and found that
Yeah.
he
was
made
no
the
God.
choice not
Yeah.
to believe anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
a
wouldn't
tough one,
wish
Amy.
that situation on
That's a
anybody.
tough one.
that
I'm
is tough.
sorry.
Ministry
I-
is heavy, marriage is difficult, and then we throw that into the mix. That's
Yeah.
challenging.
Well, and
know
maybe
what?
if some of you that are listening, you have a perspective on that that you'd like to weigh in on
that could be
and
good.
give,
I was
give
gonna
some
say, I know
thoughts,
a woman,
send it to
if Amy
webshow
wants-
at downloadyouthministry.com.
If Amy wants to message me, I do have a good friend who she's not a youth pastor, but she's a Bible study teacher of like one of those big community Bible study things. And her husband supports her, but he's not a believer. And so if
Why don't
That'd
you
be
just write
cool.
it? There's her email.
Let's just give out
There you
Cathy's phone number. We'll just put it on the screen right
just
now.
text me, everybody.
Just shoot her a quick text.
Yeah, and
Line.
I could ask to pass that name along. I think you know that family too.
Why don't you take that?
I will. Got it.
That's
Gotcha, Amy.
really cool.
All right. That's nice. That's very
Wow. I like that.
cool. Yeah.
Wow.
That's if you know what, we'd have a good web show if the three of us did that kind of stuff.
I agree.
Yeah.
we would. We would.
That's
Talking
why
to
this
Mike.
isn't a real good web show, but we got good sound.
We
finally.
got rich audio.
Yeah, it is. It is a good one. Yep.
It's a good one.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Elliot, for the
Got
good
tender
audio.
right there. That was nice. How about something fun and crazy? Here we go.
Josh is uncomfortable.
I'm uncomfortable
Back to
now.
the Star Wars costume.
Yeah. So anyhow,
uncomfortable with
you
emotions.
could be a Wookiee. That'd be funny. Just flip your hair over in front of your face.
All right, here we go. This person, don't read my name. First of all, I appreciate that you have a question and answer on your podcast. I'm a youth pastor in Pueblo, Colorado, at a church called. In the past 11 years,
Wait, please don't use my name, but that's a lot of detail.
in the past 11 years, the church has
true.
not grown past 30 to 35 students. Then it wasn't so bad then, but now we have around 1,600 people. I've been serving in this position for 2 years. In the past couple of months, we've had some things happen, and now we took a hit to around 15 students a week. At a meeting with my pastor yesterday, and it basically came to things need to change or they will let me go. I've been trying all that I know how to do, but I'm not sure what to do from here. I contact students, I attend life events and games, I go to 2 schools weekly and do some other programs. I've spent a lot of time agonizing in prayer over this, but no matter the effect, we can't get past this point. On Wednesdays, we have been doing our best to create an atmosphere of excitement that is welcoming, but it's kind of hard to do that when there's so few because they see it and they don't get excited. I've read a lot of your stuff and even used some of your curriculum. To be honest, I would have to say that my strength is teaching and relationships, but I don't know if I'm a good leader. I push myself to really grow and be better. My goal is to only glorify God and see students give their lives to Jesus. I love youth ministry. It's a blessing to me. I believe I'm called. I'm just so frustrated right now. I just thought that maybe the Holy Spirit might give you some words or direction to share with me. I fully understand you're busy, and even if you never get the chance to read this, it's just great to get this out. So thank you.
Wow.
I'll weigh in, and then you guys. I don't think everybody has the chops to be the primary leader. Like I would take this person on my youth ministry team in a heartbeat. I love what he's doing. But maybe if there is a history of this, and we don't know if there's a history of it, I'm going, he'd be a great leader, but I think he got fired from 2 of the spots. I can't remember the whole backstory, but ever since he's come here as a volunteer, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, we celebrated him on Sunday, 17 years, 1999.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Through you, through all the way through. He's still going strong.
Yeah.
Yep.
But his beginning years, he struggled, out of college, thought he wanted to be a youth pastor, and he struggled in that position.
Yep.
But he's been a great volunteer. And so not everybody who thinks they're a leader is really a leader. We've joked before that people think they have the gift of teaching until they get in front of a bunch of students who don't have the gift of listening, and maybe they don't have the gift of teaching. And I think leadership, there's a gift to that. And he may not have that. And I think that's a very difficult time. But in all of us, we all think we are gifted in some areas, and then we kind of come up to a wall and go, maybe that self-assessment was wrong. And I'm not saying that is you, but when I read that, I thought, at least it, provide a starting place for us. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I'll throw out a couple ideas. One, I would say you're doing a lot of the right things. Like those are some of the trite answers that we would say. Do this, try this, do this. So I'll throw out a couple of things that maybe.
Well, let me, when you say trite, that feels demeaning a little bit. I would say those are some of the
predictable.
Common predictable. Because trite, they're not light. Going on campus, going to events.
Yeah.
Those aren't minor.
I would say 2 things I would do. One, I would take the teaching load off of myself right away and invest relationally. So I would get video curriculum immediately and put that in front of the students and take all of my octane and pour into relationships. I think that's the key to healthy youth ministry. And so I would go there. And secondly, I didn't hear a ton about volunteers. And I think if you are trying to do this alone and you only have a certain set of gifts or you only have a certain amount of time in the day, they're your one person. And so get the best people you can around you, and obviously as quickly as possible, because the clock is ticking in this case. Surround yourself with great people, build a great team, and an army of you is going to be so much stronger than just you. And it sounds like, and I know it's one email that we're reading, it sounds like it's a one-man army trying to solve this thing. And I would say, boy, if there was 5 or 12 great leaders around you, things would be different.
Yeah,
different gifts, different skills, different team, different camaraderie, more hope. Even the leadership that would see you surrounded by 5 or 6 youth workers that you're training and pouring into and building, they would see the future of that. Where if it's you grinding and there's 8 kids there, that's not a hope-filled vision for the deacon board. So anyhow, go.
That's good.
No, I think I thought the same thing along those lines of just, if you have 10 of you going to different campuses, you probably as the leader shouldn't be doing all of this stuff. This is, multiplying ourselves is the way that we multiply the kingdom, and so I only have the capacity to disciple, minister to a few. And so I have to be committed to multiplying myself in order to see growth happen, and not to see numbers grow, but to see lives, changed and coming to know Jesus. And so, Josh and I spend the majority of our time, you spent the majority of your time developing people to go to campuses and run programs and do some of these kinds of things. And so I think that's just a big piece, is really that mindset shift of how do I multiply myself, and how do I build people to build kingdom.
Good. You got anything on there?
I agree with all that.
That way.
Amen.
We have to admit that feeling of the clock ticking.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
just pit in
And
your
grow
stomach.
this.
Well, and having people over your
Wow.
shoulder and you are feeling like nothing you're doing is, you have to know that everything you're doing, God is using,
Yes.
in the lives of those particular kids. So, don't lose sight of what God is doing,
Yeah.
and
Take
make
heart.
sure that you're, focusing on the great stuff that he's doing. It doesn't feel good to have someone looking over your shoulder ever. So
Yeah.
it's tough.
You're right. Just remind you that our sponsors are Orange
That's
theorangeconference.com. Join us at the end of
Great
April.
segue.
Great things going on in the Orange and also in Youth Ministry 360, Leader Treks. We don't have their books to hold up, and I know that's going to make Angie Franklin
we have all
mad.
this back here.
I know she likes it when we hold up her books.
Oh,
and
sorry.
Youth
She's a
Ministry
very
360,
visual learner.
They wanted their logo a little higher. It's been on the bottom for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they were saying that some of our bodies were blocking the logo. I don't want to point fingers, but it was kind of hurtful. And I'm still upset about it.
Yeah.
And so we moved YM360 for this show to the top to give them a little
One
extra.
of these days,
I
we're
see
going to
that.
get
You
we're going
gotta
to get a
rotate
studio.
those.
Talk to our business associate who's letting us do our download youth ministry in his offices, and he said probably not till mid-March.
Okay.
Remember when the studio was our garage?
Yeah.
Those are good old days,
I
guys.
feel
Youth
like
Youth
we're
Ministry
moving
garage.
in the right direction.
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the garage.
I still have those
garage to rich
chalkboards hanging in my
audio.
garage. Those chalkboards are still there.
I actually thought the other day that we should move back to the garage so we can keep this really nice equipment up.
That's not a bad idea. It's right.
Well, there's no room.
You should
And
see the
it's
garage.
cold.
you know.
It was so cold.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's cold
How is
right
your
now
garage
here.
these days, Cathy? Is it?
Come on over and take anything you want, Josh. Anything you want.
You won't
Kathy
know.
and I, on
You
a
won't know
scale
this
of 1
missing.
to 10, we have about a 10 marriage. I think we've got as good a marriage as anybody. But when you bring up the garage,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
you
Welcome to the Youth Ministry Garage Therapy Show.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
somehow the garage is all my fault. I'm not exactly
Totally.
sure why.
It is. It's just the husband's job, I think.
Right? My dad
Yeah.
always cleaned the garage.
Yeah, that's what
I
my
feel
dad did
like
too.
Our garage
Yeah.
is out
A
of
good
control.
dad would do.
Yeah.
But you have a garage, Josh. Who cleans your garage?
I cleaned it this week, and so I have this brief moment of happiness
You
that
could
my
clean
garage
it
is
in a
clean.
week. That could not
Well,
happen.
here's what he did, babe.
this
he
is
cleaned the
true.
garage. He took the download youth ministry stuff that has been in our garage for years.
yeah.
He had it in his garage for like 4 months. He now dropped it in my office. So now it's sitting in my office.
What is that stuff that you're talking
Like
about?
a conference backdrop and some banners that pop up and brochures that we hand out to people at an event or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He was like a total servant for a month. Oh, I can put it in my garage.
And now
It
it's
was-
in your office?
Now it's in my office.
I also
It's
brought
not
him
my
home
garage.
from Louisville. Give me some credit.
Just
Come on.
like, it's out of here.
She did. She's like, we're doing some
put a
fun
foot
stuff
down.
for Christmas. You got to get it out of the garage. I was like, okay, we need room in the garage.
We're doing some fun
Yeah.
stuff for
Somebody
Christmas
getting a new
also.
car?
Yeah,
Someone's
thanks, Josh,
getting
for
an
bringing that up.
Xbox.
If my nephew
I'm sorry.
was really cool,
not
he'd
getting anything.
volunteer to.
Yeah, you'd get great audio and a clean garage out of the deal.
Oh,
You need a recording
Elliot.
studio, Elliot? Because you could put one in my garage. You'd have to clean it first, though.
He can't hear. He's listening to the show.
He's listening to a correspondent outside
Exactly.
the studio.
He's actually on his computer playing a
listening.
game.
I had a question. What is the Hopefuls podcast about? That was such just a thrown out thing. What is it about? Is it?
What he does is he interviews people who he sees potential in that have not fully succeeded yet,
wow.
but they're kind of on their way to get the learnings of the journey that they're on. It's good.
That's a
So
great
it's like
idea.
Shark
Cool.
Tank, kind of.
Yeah, I like
that's
it.
cool.
No, it's not like
really.
Shark
Is
No.
it?
No.
Those
It
are
is-
like potential hopefuls that, they're
Yeah.
trying to get to a new place.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
I see the
sweet. Oh, dear.
correlation. I do see it.
All right,
Katie.
here's last question.
Here we go.
Please don't read my name. I recently had a situation where one of my small group leaders allowed his girlfriend from out of town to stay with him for a week at his house while she was in town.
That's bad judgment. Good.
Is anybody else? We've only been on these mics for 2 shows, and does anybody else want to just mouth them at all, or is it just
Give it a
me?
shot?
Can you initial this one?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking, Katie.
I don't want that next time. I'm gonna initial.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we don't want a vocal
Oh,
clip.
vocal clip.
Ladies
You're
and
gonna
gentlemen, I
vocal
was
clip?
just scolded by my nephew that I'm going to start vocal clipping.
You got to
We'll
go
have
clean
to
the
learn what
garage
that
now,
is
bro.
later.
Hope you're happy.
Yeah. No, I've already been clipped.
Oh,
and,
Oh my God.
I just said a quick prayer. I just said a quick prayer for our podcast.
yeah.
Hey, remember we need to edit the show every 12 minutes? Do it now. Do it now.
No. Hey, vocal clipping. I'm just saying, I've been
Nope.
clipped. So,
So anyhow, yeah. So your marriage is in shambles over the garage. Keep going.
So, this couple who apparently he's not clipped, the small group leader confided in my lead pastor and a parent of one of my students. While he was confiding in the parent asked him what our pastor would think about it. The leader then told her that the pastor was already aware of what happened. The parent came to me with genuine concern about the situation and me allowing the leader to continue to be a leader after knowing of the situation. She assumed that since our pastor knew and that she knew that I was in the loop. Unfortunately, I wasn't. When I approached my senior pastor to address the issue, he brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal and that he didn't, and that's why he didn't come to me. Am I out of line for expecting him to inform me if one of my leaders isn't living up to the standard I expect of my small group leaders? My pastor supported me in placing this leader on probation, but it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth that I had to find out from a parent. The parent is deeply bothered that our pastor wouldn't come to me with this issue. Any suggestions on how to deal with this issue?
I wouldn't freak out without a history. If this is a one-time thing, senior pastor's got a lot on his or her plate.
That's what I'm thinking.
And
This is
it was
probably
a
the
passing comment. I think this is excusable. In fact, I would assume that the senior pastor went, thank you for sharing that with me, assuming that the youth worker maybe was already in the loop on it and would, of course, put them on probation for such a poor lack of judgment there. So I would say if this is a pattern, we have something to talk about today. If it's an isolated incident, a one-time thing, cut them some slack. I don't know. I'd let it go.
in relation to the senior pastor.
To the senior pastor, yes.
Cut the senior pastor
the senior
some
pastor's
slack.
like, the volunteer, no, they're on probation. They should be. That's poor judgment. That's not good at all. But to the senior pastor, the bad taste in your mouth,
You're not assuming they're having sex or sleeping together. It's just the perception.
the appearance, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the senior pastor would have assumed that you were in charge of your volunteers and you were in the loop and you were pastoring them through this. So why should he have to come in over the top of you? In fact, if he had, you'd probably be very threatened by that. So you can't have it both ways. Not that you're trying. I'm just feeling a little combative all of a sudden.
Wow.
Well, and what we don't know, I mean, in the four of us' situations here, most people wouldn't go to our senior pastor
Correct.
in that situation just because of the nature of the beasts that we work at. But who knows, that senior pastor and that volunteer could be buddies. They could have a relationship that was a friendly situation. We don't know any of that part of it, that this might have been his accountability person. There's too much to know to try and cast a shadow on the senior pastor.
I agree. I think if this was a common occurrence that the senior pastor is brushing things under the rug that you think are a big deal, then you have a conversation with him or her. If this is the first time, I agree. It's probably,
But have an honest conversation early in the process. If this is time 3, 4, 8, don't let that fester. That's going to drive you apart. Don't let that wound stay open because you're going to end up leaving that church or causing a split or a big riff. You're going to start making assumptions about that senior pastor that probably aren't true. Maybe some are, but probably not. And I think it's swiftly dealt with when it becomes a trend. One time, cut him some slack.
Yeah. Okay. I think to be careful about being in conversations about your senior pastor with parents or other leaders, because the N alluded to, you kind of in the conversation with the parent, which I'm assuming. But I think just, you deal with your senior pastor and you deal with your volunteer, in conversation, but be really careful about talking about feelings between you and the senior pastor with other people in the congregation. I just think it's, it just makes things even tougher and adds layers of gossip and things that you don't need already or added in.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's good. Well, in the spirit of the new year of having shorter shows, we're done.
That was a good one.
You having shorter shows?
Well, we've been saying we're going to have shorter shows, probably the last 6 to 10 shows. We're
like
been shorter.
10 minutes short.
Yeah,
like 12
we
to 10
used to
minutes
go
short.
like 50 to 60 minutes, and now we're 30 to 40.
We want to honor your time, Cathy. We're very thankful to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being
I
here.
gotta go home, figure out my costume.
Do it.
Okay, can I tell you that I asked Cathy, I said, Jason's not going to be there. Do you want to sit in the show? And she's like, sure. And I said, okay, I hear in your voice. I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much don't you want to do it? And she said, a 7.
That's a no. A seven
Christmas is
a
around the
no.
corner.
Seven's
Today is
a
our
no.
daughter's
Christmas has been around the
birthday.
corner. We're in the new
Seven's a
year
no.
now.
7's a no.
Sorry. I don't know where we are. In my world,
Christmas
I think
next
that Christmas
year.
is a couple days away in my world. And we have a lot of
You
kids
live in
now.
the past, babe.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry. Oh, it's this time warp. Is there a character that's in a time warp in Star Wars?
No, there's not. I mean, Harrison Ford got old in the new movie, but other than that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is
great
it
having
weird
you on the
if
Thanks.
I dress as Leonard Nimoy?
That would be hilarious.
That'd be pretty funny.
That got Elliot to laugh.
If you went into a
Got
Star
Elliot to
Wars
laugh.
movie,
My day
You're
is
like,
done.
Wait, what?
yeah, I
Just
thought for
wait a
sure.
minute.
What?
Wait, is this not a thing here? What's happening?
Nanu,
Prosper, everybody. I'm going to see James Bond movie. I love it. Nanu,
All
is
right,
that
everybody.
Yeah.
Those
my
of you
goodness.
who are Download Youth Ministry members, you know we love you the most.
You're our favorites.
And anybody else, we love you the second most. It's like that with all children. And Elliot,
yeah.
your parents love you more than your sister.
Elliot, were you first? Oh, firstborn.
Firstborn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's actually very cool. Okay, you guys, let's go.
All right, audio signing
Bye.
off.
Send your questions
Bye-bye.
into
Elliot.
webshow at downloadyouthministry.com. Thanks again to our sponsors, Orange, APU,
Leader Tracks.
Leader Tracks, and
YM360.
All right.
Bye.